supply, and even in a normal year, they really depend on late rainfalls to really carry them through the summer and the fall. And in this case, I have not heard back from the Mendocino CSD or some of the others there, but suffice to say that we're looking at a pretty serious condition there, should we not get any more significant rainfall. Inland in Willits, which relies on surface water, lake storage is about 25% of last year's storage level, and according to Paul Kaler, the city manager there, they have about 800 acre feet in storage, which in roundabout numbers is about what Willits uses in a normal year. And so the situation certainly is not good. They are basically looking at a situation of coming, without any additional rain to speak of, looking at coming into next rainy season with essentially an empty reservoir. Now finally, I want to spend some time with Lake Mendocino. As you are probably aware, yesterday the Sonoma County Water Agency held a press conference in Healdsburg to talk about the water supply situation associated with Lake Mendocino, and as a part of that presentation they provided some rather sobering statistics for Lake Mendocino. Right now, Lake Mendocino storage in very roundabout numbers is about 30,000 acre feet. Normal for this time historically would be something on the order of 70,000 acre feet. So we're about 40% of normal. For the sake of comparison, in February of 1977, which was about the peak of the 76-77 drought, storage was 55,000 acre feet in Lake Mendocino as opposed to the 30,000 now. In 1977, we started February with 55,000. We bottomed out at around 13,000 acre feet before the rains kicked in 1978 and basically bailed them out. So it's worth noting that right now, Lake Mendocino, we're running about 25,000 acre feet lower at this time than we did in February of 1977. Compounding the problem for us is that basically we have less water coming in as opposed to 1977. We have less water coming into Lake Mendocino now from the Eel River than we did in 1977. Also, we have higher water demands. So all of this points to a potential train wreck, as illustrated in the chart, which hopefully you have in front of you, and I have copies for the audience here if they want to come and grab a copy. Basically, and this came out of yesterday's presentation from Sonoma County Water Agency at their press conference. Basically, what the Sonoma County Water Agency is saying with the red line is that if we continue on the current trend in terms of running at half normal rainfall and continued without any cutback in water, in cutting back our demands, we're going to run out of water. The lake is going to go dry in about July. Now, on the other hand, and perhaps what I should say is just to be pessimistic, even if we achieve a 50% demand reduction, which would be very aggressive, the green line represents what happens with a 50% demand reduction, and even then we're still looking at maybe bottoming out at around 17,000 acre feet. Now again, achieving a 50% demand reduction is not going to be very easy. A little background, in very roundabout numbers, according to Sonoma, roughly half of the total Lake Mendocino water supply is used for M&I, municipal purposes, the other half for ag. That ratio, I'm sure, is a little bit different here in Mendocino County. But suffice to say, on the urban side, a 50% reduction, you're at this point looking at pretty much giving up on your outdoor landscaping. As a general rule, on the urban side, roughly half of your water usage is landscaping. those people down there in Sonoma County have already done enough, picked the low-hanging fruit on the urban side when it comes to indoor conservation measures. To achieve a mandatory 50% reduction, you are going to have to give up your lawns and a fair amount of landscape material. In the case of ag, the choices are very difficult. If faced with a 50% reduction in their usage, it's going to be extremely difficult. It may even be mathematically impossible to satisfy the frost protection needs and then the plant growing needs during the growing season for the grapes, for the pears, whatnot there. And so we're looking at some very tough choices. I mean, your options are, I can risk frost damage, but then have no water to irrigate my vines during the irrigation season, or I put it all towards frost and hopefully then I make it through the growing season, or I wing it, take a potential frost beating, and then have some water for the irrigation season. Either way you slice it, there's going to be some very tough choices here, and no doubt some significant economic impacts, and I think there may be some other people that may want to talk about that. Now, at the moment, I guess to paraphrase, I think it was Yogi Berra, it ain't over till it's over. At the moment, neither Sonoma County Water Agency or anybody else has instituted mandatory rationing. What they're saying is that, hey, if this condition continues for another 4 weeks or a month or so, yes, we most likely will be instituting mandatory rationing. It will be on the order of perhaps 30 to 50%. But the point is, we haven't reached that point quite yet. There is some time left in the rainy season, and in the past, sometimes we get lucky. It's not something we want to count on, but it is worth noting that, for example, in 1986 was a dry year until the Valentine's Day storm, and after that, of course, it was a very wet year, maybe a little bit wetter than we would have hoped for. Similarly, in 1991, I think it was a very dry year, and the region as a whole was bailed out by basically what people were calling the Miracle March, and we made it through as a region as a whole. So it is possible that the situation will turn around. However, we are in a very serious situation. I would characterize it as we're in the bottom of the 7th inning, we're down by 10 runs, and unless we score a lot of runs real fast, we're going to lose. So with that with that situation that we're faced with, what can we as county government do about it? What can we do to prepare ourselves for and help blunt the effects of the drought should the current weather conditions continue? And what I have for you today to discuss and think about and hopefully provide some direction on are 5 major categories which we can pursue. And the first category, and first and foremost, we, the county, can lead the charge by example and through public outreach. And within this category, I have 3 immediate action items. First, we should seriously move forward with the adoption of a drought declaration. Secondly, coordination of public outreach. And then third here, lead by example, reduce our water use here at the county facilities. And let me just start with the first item, the drought declaration. A drought declaration would accomplish 2 things. It's part of a public awareness effort, and also perhaps more significantly, it's also typically a necessary prerequisite for obtaining emergency relief funds from the state or the feds, and also often a prerequisite for implementing an ordinance or action that involves mandatory cutbacks in water usage.